Sorry about that, babe.
I know a bunch of you guys are probably saying, what took you so long with this video? Truth is, I've been incredibly busy. Thankfully, here we are. It's time for the Bits and Glory community Top 10 Super Nintendo Entertainment System / SNES list. We previously did one for the Nintendo, which I will leave in the pinned comment description and end screen if you want to check that out. Kinda took the ideas from that video, tried to refine it and streamline it a little bit more for you guys, and let's dive into it. I also wanted to point out that yet again, my microphone's kind of positioned off to the side because my main monitor is over here, so I apologize for not making constant eye contact with the camera, but it is what it is. So, for this round in the Bits and Glory community polling, 27 people submitted, which means obviously 10 games per entry, for a total of 270 games on the list, with 88 unique games featured. And I wanted to quickly highlight a bunch of the games that appeared quite frequently on the lists. Number 1 was Chrono Trigger with 21 entries. Number 2 is Final Fantasy VI, aka Final Fantasy III USA, with 16 entries. Number 3 was The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past with 15 entries. And then tied, I guess, for 4 and 5, would be Final Fantasy IV, aka Final Fantasy II SNES in America, with 12, and Super Mario World with 12. Now again, there was 88 unique entries, so there's a lot more. I'm going to kind of get into some of the outliers and things that were interesting here in a little bit, but there was definitely a slew of games that only appeared once, which was pretty interesting as well. Alright, let's go over the games that appeared in the number 1 slots. And number 1 in the number 1 slot was Chrono Trigger with 8 different appearances on the lists. Final Fantasy VI appeared 5 times, Super Metroid twice, The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past twice, and the rest of the games upcoming are going to be single appearances in the number 1 spot. We have Super Castlevania 4, Super Mario RPG, Lufia 2 Rise of the Sinistrals, Secret of Mana, aka Seiken Densetsu 2, Super Mario World, Breath of Fire 2, Donkey Kong Country, Final Fantasy V, and Mega Man X. Now, before we get into the final tally using the very basic scoring system for the top 10, I wanted to go over some surprise entries on the list. Somebody actually had Mystic Arc on their top 10 SNES list. Not only that, but they had Mystic Arc higher than the 7th Saga. For that, I am totally befuddled. Obviously, I realize people have their own, preferences and whatnot, but I covered Mystic Arc on the channel and I could not for the life of me truly enjoy that game. I did feel a little bit of vindication. Both Soul Blazer and Illusion of Gaia actually appeared on more lists than Terranigma did. Now don't get me wrong, I like all three. You guys know by now that Illusion of Gaia is my favorite, and I do feel that Terranigma is a bit overrated, and it looks like the small sample size from my community did also prefer Illusion of Gaia and Soul Blazer over Terranigma, which I thought was interesting. There were also many lower end RPG / action RPG type games that made a lot of people's lists that I don't personally think they're top 10 material, but again, that's the beauty of personal preference and lists, right? I saw games like Alcahest, which I covered on the channel a long time ago. I had a fun time with it, but by no means would I consider it a top 10 game, but hey, it is what it is. Tecmo Secret of the Stars, which I still have not played, we tested it out on stream a while ago before we settled on Paladin's Quest. I enjoyed it, but it seemed so, rudimentary / old school that I'm surprised that it was on somebody's list. King Arthur and the Knights of Justice is another one, just did not expect to see it. And there were also a few others that I didn't expect to see, such as We're Back, A Dinosaur Story, Pac-Man 2, and so forth. Only 3 of the total entries on the list were for Breath of Fire games, and all 3 were for Breath of Fire 2, none for the first. I was just mildly surprised given the content and the community of the channel. I thought that there'd be more instances of Breath of Fire 2, and I thought maybe we'd see a couple Breath of Fire ones. I totally get it though, I do. It was also interesting to note that there weren't a lot of sports games. In my opinion, that's because the Sega Genesis has better sports games than the Super Nintendo. The few that I remember seeing off the top of my head were NBA Jam Tournament Edition, obviously very deserving, and NHL 94, which is a good game, but in my opinion the Sega Genesis version trumps it entirely. But thought it was worth noting. And to kind of wrap this section up, there was 2 games, one that I was actually surprised to see as many entries as it had, and one that I thought there'd be some more. I was happily pleased to see that 5 people had Secret of Evermore on their top 10 list, but I was also a bit surprised to only see 4 entries for ActRaiser. There was actually 5 for the ActRaiser series. Somebody actually put ActRaiser 2 on their list, which is surprising to me as well. I don't think it's a bad game or anything like that, but it just wasn't my cup of tea personally, but again, personal preference, right? Alright, and this is something that I didn't do in the NES video, but I did put retroactively in like the description and pinned comment, is a point system to actually come up with a true top 10 for the entries into this list. And it's pretty simple. Basically, if a game was in the number 10 spot, it got 1 point. If the game was in the number 1 spot, it got 10 points. And then obviously you kind of fill in the gaps there, right? So we're gonna go over the top 10 final results. The number 10 game on the list for the community is actually a tie between Lufia 2, Rise of the Sinistrals, and Super Castlevania 4. The number 9 game is Secret of Mana with 39 points. Can't remember if I mentioned, but Lufia 2 and Super Castlevania 4 had 38 points. The number 8 game is Earthbound or Mother 2 with 42 points. The number 7 game is Mega Man X with 49 points. And this is the point of the list where things start to separate a little bit. The number 6 game on the list is Super Metroid with 68 points. The number 5 game on the list is Super Mario World with 75 points. The number 4 game on the list is Final Fantasy IV or Final Fantasy II SNES in America with 78 points. Very happy to see that. Final Fantasy IV is one of the most replayable, digestible, awesome games in the series, so I'm just super glad that it got its just due here. And I'm sure you could probably figure out the top 3 at this point. Number 3 is The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past with 97 points, and the top 2 further separate themselves, and the number 1 game separates itself even from number 2. The number 2 game is Final Fantasy VI, aka Final Fantasy III, with 143 points, and again, you could probably infer the number 1 game in the Bits and Glory community list is Chrono Trigger with 182 points. I don't really have any bad mouthing to say about this top 10 list. I feel like for the most part, I'm sure you could argue a few games into there, but the games that appear, they're all absolute bangers. Like Chrono Trigger, Final Fantasy VI, Link to the Past, Final Fantasy IV, Super Mario World. That's, you know, probably a lot of people's top 5. Again, maybe Final Fantasy IV probably wouldn't be in a lot of normal people's top 5. Obviously, we kind of lean towards RPGs on this channel. I probably would assume to see a swap there for like Super Metroid or Mega Man X or something like that, but you know, going on, Super Metroid, Mega Man X, Earthbound, Secret of Mana, Lufia 2, and Super Castlevania 4, how could you argue the greatness of those games? I think for the most part the community got it right. Again, some interesting things here and there, and it was fun to take a look at this, and I will continue on. I think the next console that we will do is the Sega Genesis / Sega Mega Drive. So if you guys enjoyed this video, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already, and stay tuned for the next one at some point in the future, probably in a couple months at this point. Take care.